Joe Kramer, superintendent, Pomeroy Palmer Community School. Unfortunately, this year, during the review of our budgets and getting prepared for the upcoming school year, the state legislature at that point in time, and still to this date, have not approved a budget for fiscal year 2011-2012. Included in that funding would be a recommendation from the governor to reduce the funding for the four-year-old statewide voluntary preschool program and turn that into a grant type program. In the process of that recommendation, the impact on Pomeroy Palmer School District is significant because of our enrollment. We're fluctuating between small classes and classes of about 12 students. When we get down to the small group, which is what we're projecting for next year's four-year-old, we're talking maybe 4, 5, 6 students. If we're talking about those individuals generating dollars, even of itself, it would be very difficult to sustain a half-day preschool program given just the staffing costs alone associated with setting up preschool. When you now factor in the potential changes that are being proposed from the legislative body to turn this into a grant funding, that means everyone's going to pay something. And the major concern was, would our middle-class families be able to afford the expected contribution that they would have in order for their students to be able to attend a four-year-old half-day preschool. We sent out a survey to parents, had somewhat limited response, but given our pool size of only 5 or 6 prospective students, parents, we weren't looking at a large pool to begin with, but several indicated that they would have a difficult time generating the type of money that would be necessary to actually pay for it. As a result, we had to recommend reducing that position with the uncertainty of what the state funding is going to be. If funding is reduced and it turns into a grant funding, we don't really have enough students without dramatically increasing the cost. Under Iowa law, a preschool program has to be self-sufficient. It can't be bailed out by the school district general fund. That means we have to cover expenses to actually operate the program so that it doesn't impact the school district's general operating. As a result of that, the only proposal we've actually been able to come up with is to fundraise and attempt to get the community support necessary to protect the district in the event that funding actually is removed. Unfortunately, even at this time, we don't know whether or not funding is going to move forward. If it does, then we're going to be good for 1 year, at which time the governor's indicated he'll bring it back up again. Long term, what the board and myself want to see happen is to grow a preschool as well as an early childhood program in Pomeroy so that we can provide the resources that aren't currently available to the young children that this part of the county. We've got limited resources, opportunities for young families to look for daycare. We have limited opportunities for other preschool programs because we don't have private run preschool. So if the school can't maintain a preschool program, it means having to travel for those families to a Rockwell City, a Manson, or a Pocahontas City. So as a result, we are asking for your help so that we can generate a pool of dollars for early childhood purposes, currently targeting preschool funding so that we can keep a preschool operation. If the governor comes through, then that money would either move forward for the following year, where we're still looking for a reduction in preschool, or to continue to grow the opportunities we have within the school district's physical walls to grow a larger early childhood program with daycare, with quality instructors, and quality. And we hope that you'll support us in that. Thank you. Right now, what we're projecting is for next year's four-year-olds to have single-digit class size. The following year would go back to probably a 12, 15 number if everything holds as the current projections appear. We just happen to be at that enrollment level where our numbers are fluctuating. 1 year we're up, the other year we're down. The problem is that causes budgeting problems when you're trying to project in this curve because you don't have a solid, stable number to carry the program, and that's why we're going to do it. you have one more year of two-way whole grade sharing. In July of 2012, when the sharing agreement and the reorganization vote, the 7th and 8th grade students will return to Pocahontas area so that all students grades 7 through 12 will actually attend Pocahontas. At that time, we're going to have some additional classrooms that become available within Pomeroy Village. What my hope and view of the future would be is to be able to use those additional classrooms, move the current daycare from the existing trailer into the building proper, and utilize multiple classrooms so we could grow that program and have even more opportunities for our families who are limited by daycare options. This provides a stable base for the school district, assists young families who are in desperate need of quality daycare, while at the same time, by combining the two with a quality preschool program, we're now also providing those students, hopefully 100% of them, with a quality preschool experience before coming in. I think the daycare and the preschool work in tandem with each other. The daycare feeds the preschool ultimately feeds the Pomeroy elementary. And the board's goal, along with itself, is to maintain the Pomeroy building for as long as it's financially feasible. Ultimately, that comes down to you. Which means you need to be able to provide a base so that we can have young families moving into our community, which helps the rural economic development side of the community as well. But it also provides a base so that we can keep the school open. Schools don't close unless there's an absence of children. So by keeping that influx of young students, young children coming into the building and into the district, we also increase the viability of the district. Right now, as I mentioned before, our funding is in question for the coming year. If the governor gets his way in terms of what he's requesting, our funding will be cut approximately half, with the other half going to tuition. It will be based on a as-needed or a need basis. Everyone will pay something in tuition. Those who have the most need will pay the most. The concern I have is our families in the middle are the ones that are going to feel the pinch the most. And yet those are families who are counting on a quality daycare child care experience for the kids. We all want what's best for our children, and we certainly want to do it in a deep can to help our young families. We need the community support of help right now so that when we ride these financial bubbles where our funding streams are changing, sometimes at the last minute, and as it looks right now, we could end up potentially moving into the next school year without a state budget telling us for sure what we're going to have to do. Combine that with our smaller class sizes, it really creates a challenge financially to plan forward and try to maintain stability within